So you're thinking about moving to Asheville, North Carolina. I mean, we get it. It's the mountains, the culture, the Four Seasons, the craft breweries on every corner. But before you start scrolling Zillow and picking out your dream neighborhood, we need to have a really important conversation. But here's the thing. Most people are doing this backwards.
They really are. And we see it all the time. People fall in love with one specific neighborhood online. Maybe they visited once or stayed in an Airbnb downtown, and they think, this is it. This is where I need to be. Then they get here and realize the neighborhood doesn't actually fit their lifestyle, their budget.
Or their commute, or kids' school needs, or their actual day-to-day reality of living. And that's why today we're going to save you from making what could be a really expensive mistake. Today we're breaking down why you shouldn't pick a neighborhood just yet, and what you should be focusing on are the specific areas that appeal to your lifestyle.
Hi, we're a real estate team proudly serving the upstate of South Carolina and western North Carolina, from Greenville to Asheville and everything in between.
We've helped buyers relocate from all over the country to our scenic-friendly towns and cities. Now let's jump back into it. Okay, so let's start with the biggest misconception we hear, and that's, I'm moving to Asheville. When people say that, they usually mean the city limits of Asheville. But here's what most newcomers don't realize. About 70% of the people who move to quote-unquote Asheville actually end up living outside of the city limits. We're talking about a whole region of communities that spread out 10, 20, even 30 minutes in every direction from downtown.
Mm-hmm. And that's not a bad thing. It's actually a good thing, because this region has so much diversity in terms of lifestyle options. You've got urban walkable neighborhoods right in downtown Asheville with all the arts and culture. Then you've got planned suburban communities with newer homes and great schools. You've got quiet mountain towns where you can have acreage and wake up to complete silence. And you've got everything in between.
The key is understanding what you want from your daily life. What's your commute tolerance? What's your budget? Whether you have kids in school, how much you value walkability versus privacy. All that is going to determine which part of this region actually fits best for you. And that's why we created our Asheville Area Town Finders quiz, which we'll link in the description. It's just 5 simple questions that help you narrow down where you should actually be looking based on how you want to live, not just where it looks pretty in the photos.
Because I promise you, the vibe of downtown Asheville is completely different from the vibe of downtown Black Mountain, which is completely different from a planned community like Biltmore Park, which is completely different from, and this is where Ryan gets excited, Henderson County, where we are based. So each of these places has its own personality, its own advantages, and its own trade-offs, honestly.
Yeah, let's talk about why people move here in the first place. And then let's talk about the reality check that some people aren't prepared for. Because we believe in being honest with you, even if it means you decide this area isn't for you. So first, the appeal. Sue, why don't you take this one?
Sure. So the natural beauty here is just unmatched. So we're nestled right in the Blue Ridge Mountains, and you've got hiking trails, waterfalls, scenic drives. Blue Ridge Parkway is literally right in your backyard. So the fall colors are going to be stunning, and even winter has this cozy mountain charm. And you've got the creative culture. Asheville is known nationally for its art scene, the live music, breweries, local food. There's always a festival and always something happening. It's the perfect mix of small town community feel with some big city cultural amenities.
Yeah, and the 4-season climate is also a huge draw, especially for people coming from Florida or Texas, where it's just murderously hot all the year, it seems like these days. You get warmer summers here, beautiful spring and falls, and winters that are mild, but you still get a little snow in most years, enough to feel like winter is being here without being buried in it for months like in the north. Plus, there's a real sense of community here. People are friendly, they're welcoming to newcomers, and there's this culture of getting involved, whether that's at the farmers market or the numerous nonprofit and volunteer groups around.
Or you can also just chat with your neighbors. It's that big small town feeling that people really love. And this is what's important. There is a flip side to all of this that we do need to talk about.
Yeah, let's get real for a minute. So the cost of living here has gone up significantly over the last few years. The housing prices have climbed, inventory's tight, rental prices are competitive. So if you're coming from like San Francisco or New York, you might think, oh, this is cheap. But if you're coming from somewhere in the Midwest or South, the sticker shock may be real. And the job market, while it's growing, is still somewhat limited. In Asheville, particular, Buncombe County, it's heavy on tourism, hospitality, and healthcare. And in other areas, there's a little bit more commercial and industrial infrastructure, particularly around the Arden-Fletcher area. If you have a specialized career, you might be commuting or working remotely.
Infrastructure is another important thing that people don't always talk about. So public transportation is pretty limited here. So you're pretty much going to need a car. The regional airport is small. So if you travel a lot for work, you're often going to be connecting through Charlotte or Atlanta. And then there's just the reality of growth. This area has seen so much in migration that it's created some growing pains. So traffic has increased, housing inventory is strained, and the community dynamics are shifting a bit.
And we have to mention the September 2024 weather event known as Helene. It was devastating for some areas. Really, places like Swannanoa and Lake Lure were hit hard, and they're still recovering. There was even more areas than that. But for most of the region, including downtown Asheville and the communities we work in, they responded and rebounded pretty quickly as a community, which was really encouraging to see. That said, it's a reminder that this is a mountain region, and weather patterns and infrastructure resilience are things to be aware of when you're buying a home.
And we don't say any of this to scare you off. We say it because we want you to come here with your eyes wide open. This is an incredible place to live, but it's not perfect and it's not for everybody, and that's okay.
So now let's talk about why you shouldn't pick a neighborhood yet. And I mean yet, obviously you'll pick one eventually. But picking too early, especially before you've spent real time on the ground here, is like buying a car based on a single photo. You're going to miss a lot of that important detail.
Yes, because there are cost trade-offs you won't see online. Some communities offer way more space and lower property taxes, but you're adding 25 minutes to your commute, or you're farther from grocery stores and amenities. Some neighborhoods look perfect online, but when you visit, the vibe just doesn't match what you were imagining. Maybe you thought you wanted urban walkability, but when you get here, you realize you actually crave a little bit more peace and quiet and a big yard for your dog, things like that.
And there are hidden gems, communities and small towns that people don't even know exist until they come visit and explore with us. Places that offer incredible value, strong local culture, great schools, and are just 15 or 20 minutes from everything you'd want. But they don't show up on the best neighborhoods in Asheville list typically online.
Exactly. So our advice is research, yes. Get familiar with the area, watch videos like this, use our Town Finder tool. But don't lock yourself into one specific neighborhood or zip code until you've actually been here, driven around, talked to locals, and ideally work with someone who knows this area and region inside and out.
All right, so let's give you a quick lay of the land. Think of this as your high-level map of what's out there, but don't treat this as a final decision, just a starting point on your research. First, you've got the urban Asheville neighborhoods. That's downtown, the River Arts Districts, places like Albemarle Park and Five Points. These are walkable, culturally vibrant places. They're close to restaurants, galleries, breweries, but you're paying a premium for that location and lifestyle.
Then you also have suburban or planned communities, like Biltmore Park is a big one. It's newer construction, amenities, shopping, more of a family-friendly suburb type of vibe. It's convenient, it's polished, and it's closer to everything without being right in the middle of downtown. These are popular with families and people who want a little more space, but still want easy access to Asheville.
Then you've got these small, quaint mountain towns around Asheville, and this is places like Black Mountain, Hendersonville, Brevard, Waynesville. These have their own downtowns, their own unique identities. They're quieter typically, more affordable in some ways, and you're still just a short drive from Asheville when you want that more city experience. And each of these towns has its own personality, so it's worth exploring all of them individually.
And then you've got rural mountain living. Homes with acreage, privacy, mountain views, and that real secluded retreat type feeling. So if you're someone who wants to be off the beaten path and you don't mind a longer drive to those amenities, then that might be your area you want to discover. But it's definitely a different lifestyle than downtown Asheville.
All right, so now I'm going to talk about the part of the region that we personally think is one of the best kept secrets. No secret there. And that's Henderson County. And this is where we're based, and it includes towns like Hendersonville, Flat Rock, Laurel Park, Mills River, Saluda, and Horseshoe. And here's why this area is so strategic. You're positioned right between Asheville to the north and Greenville, South Carolina to the south.
And that positioning is everything. So Hendersonville is about 25 minutes south of Asheville. So you're close enough to access all the culture, dining, and amenities of Asheville whenever you want. But you're also about 45 minutes to an hour from Greenville, which is a thriving city with a great airport, strong job market, medical facilities, more shopping, more entertainment. So it's really a well-rounded city that really hasn't gotten enough credit yet.
And if you're working remotely, you need to occasionally access a larger job market, or you travel frequently and want a bigger airport. Henderson County gives you the best of both worlds. You get that mountain lifestyle and proximity to Asheville, but you also have Greenville as a resource. And frankly, housing costs in Henderson County tend to be a little bit more reasonable than Asheville proper. So you're often getting more house for your money.
Plus, Henderson County has its own charms. Hendersonville has a really cute historic downtown with local shops and restaurants right on Main Street. Flat Rock is known for its arts, and it's got the great State Theater in North Carolina. The whole area has a strong sense of community, great schools. It's popular with retirees, families, and remote workers. It's that sweet spot where you're not in the middle of the action, but you're close enough to everything that really matters.
And this is exactly why we tell people not to write off areas just because they're not Asheville. Some of the best relocation decisions we've seen have been people who came here thinking they wanted downtown Asheville or right near Asheville and ended up falling in love with all the other places around Asheville, including Henderson County, because it just fit their lifestyle better and what they were looking for.
So how do you basically figure out where in this region you belong? You can start by defining your priorities. What does your ideal day-to-day look like? How long are you willing to commute if you're not fully remote? Do you have kids? And if so, how important are school ratings for you? What's your budget, not just for the house, but for property taxes, HOA fees, if applicable, maintenance fees, things like that.
And think about the property type that you're looking for. Do you want a newer build with less maintenance? Or are you okay with an older home that has a little bit more character but may need a little more updating? Do you want a yard, or is it a low maintenance condo that is more your speed? Do you need to be walking distance to coffee shops and restaurants, or are you fine driving 10 minutes to get to those? These are the questions that actually narrow down where you should be looking.
We also recommend, if you can, visiting in different seasons. Western North Carolina really changes with the weather. Summer is lush and green and busy. Fall is peak tourism season with the leaves changing. Winter is quiet and cozy, but some mountain roads can be tricky. Spring is gorgeous, but it can be raining. So your perception of a place really can shift depending on that time of year that you visit.
It is the city of four seasons.
Yep.
And please explore broadly. Don't just visit downtown Asheville and call it a day. Drive around, check out Black Mountain, Reveal, Hendersonville, all these other towns that we mentioned. Go to local coffee shops and farmers markets. Talk to people who actually live here. Get a feel for kind of the rhythm of different communities, and definitely use our Town Finder survey. It'll give you kind of a personalized starting point just based on 5 questions.
And lastly, work with someone who knows this region. We're not just saying that because we're agents, we're saying it because this market has some quirks. Zoning varies, flood zones matter, some areas have HOAs and some don't, some neighborhoods are growing fast, some are more well established. So having someone who understands the nuances and can guide you through those trade-offs is invaluable.
So, bottom line, if you're moving to the Asheville area, take your time. Don't rush into picking a neighborhood based on online research alone. This region has way more diversity than people realize, and the right fit for you might not be where you initially thought or saw online.
Absolutely. And we're here to help you figure that out. If you're serious about relocating to Western North Carolina, book a consultation with us. There's a link in the description below. We'll talk you through your priorities, your timeline, your budget, and help you narrow down where you should actually be focusing your search. And don't forget to take our Asheville Area Town Finder quiz. It's free, it's quick, and it'll give you a personalized starting point.
If you found this helpful, make sure you hit that subscribe button. We put out weekly videos about living, working, and relocating in the Asheville area and beyond. Real talk, real expertise, and we try and keep out the fluff.
Thanks for watching, and we'll see you in the next one.
See you in the mountains.